I'd like to call the meeting to order for Monday, May 6, 2019. Please rise for the pledge. Alderwoman Webb will lead us in prayer.
Dear Lord, thank you for this beautiful weather. Thank you for all the ways that you bless our city and watch over us. Lord, please be with those in the military and the armed forces and keep them safe and bring them success. Thank you for the people that watch over us close to home, and please keep them safe as well. Be with us tonight as we go about the city's business. Give us unity and give us wisdom. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, roll call. Please show all present tonight, but Mary Claire Hopper, she had to be out of town, I believe. Next on the agenda, approval of minutes. I entertain a motion to approve the minutes from April 15th, 2019. So, a motion from Coach Coles, our second. Second from Edward. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Next item, unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business? Under new business, attorney invoice. Your attorney invoice was attached. The amount of the attorney invoice was $2,705.25. I'd entertain a motion to approve that. Motion from James Baltimore. Is there a second? Second from Vanetta Webb. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the first of two public hearings. The first one is public hearing regarding ordinance BB 672, an ordinance of the city of Dyersburg regulating the permitting and operations of mobile or transient vendors to include specific fees. That ordinance was in your packet. It was approved by the local government committee, and then we had a notice of public hearing, and we properly advertised it in the newspaper. That was on Thursday, April 18th, and we are here tonight to discuss this ordinance. This is a public hearing. Any questions from this board about this?
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
It defines mobile vendor food in there, and then it also says, am I understanding right, the only thing required to have a mobile food vendor is to have a valid vendor permit issued by the city?
It's not the only thing required. The state of Tennessee requires a business license. They also require the health department to inspect the mobile units every 6 months. Then also they have to have a food permit sticker from the state of Tennessee. So they're required to have those items. That's a local thing for us as far as a local permit.
And they just locate on anybody's property that allows them?
Yes, sir.
We don't have any control over that?
Not on private property, we don't.
Mayor, does Thomas and his crew, do they police this?
I think it's gonna be a combination of codes department, the city recorder, and probably the police department, depending on when it is. Some of those are on the weekend, so it just depends on when that is, when those events occur.
I noticed coming here tonight that there's been a food trailer on a convenience store close to me, and then tonight I noticed they've added a ice trailer and have two picnic benches out there. Is that still considered a mobile vendor? They put out picnic benches?
Well, it's up to this board to decide what you want to do, if you want to allow that or not allow it. In this ordinance, it's currently allowed. There's nothing against that in our ordinance. Any other questions?
Mr. Todd called today. He's here tonight. He wanted to say something to us about that.
Sure, he's welcome to. Sean?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you, John. Appreciate y'all letting me speak tonight. Am I too close?
No, you're fine.
On this new ordinance, it's great, but I noticed some holes in, as I've said earlier, the operations of these food trucks is not in this. Will they be added later,
What do you mean the operations?
as in seating, as in water supply, where they use it at, where they dump it at? So it won't be added later, so that'll be tonight.
I'm not saying it won't be added later, but the ordinance that we have tonight before us is the one that we're voting on and discussing. I can't say what will be in the future for this.
Okay, so more or less, this is probably what it's gonna be.
I can't say that if we pass this ordinance tonight, it will be. If we don't,
Okay, so I need to, all right, I've got excuse me. If the operations aren't gonna be added, we need to add operations to it, according to what I'm thinking. You need to have hours and days of operation. On the grease traps, for instance, what is the difference between us being a brick and mortar as compared to them? Are they self-contained? If they're self-contained, where are they dumping the grease? I have to pay for it. Do they have a receipt where it shows they're getting paid for? The gray water dumpage, where they dump the water. If they're not on the land, it has to be approved by the state, and the state has to know it. All right? Who's checking it? All right, backflow preventers. If they're getting it from the city, are they having backflow preventers? Because I have to have one, Abe has to have one, Dave has to have one. Any place that opens now has to have a backflow. Now, this does not fall under the state, it falls under the city, because I talked to the health department today. Seeding ordinance falls under the city. The utilities, are they getting checked by the fire department? You know, I get checked. That's what I'm saying, let's make it a level playing field. If I've gotta do it, even though I'm brick and mortar, why don't they? And I mean, I want them to come. I appreciate them. I want different places to eat too. But I just want it to be a level playing field where they have to do the same thing I do. Suppression systems, if they have to grill, I mean, I've got everything here. And you know, on where they're set up at clearance structures, then it'll be farther away. Of course, that's the fire department, Brett's not here tonight. And another thing, bathrooms. Again, falls on the city, not the state. So it's up to y'all to decide on this. On grease traps, the water connections, the bathroom access, and where everybody sets it, you know, if they can set it off. So that's what I had. Of course, I said that today when I talked to you.
yeah, I think the health department monitors some of that. They've got an 18-page document
Right here.
that relates to some of that.
They do not monitor grease traps, seating, bathrooms, or the water.
I don't know if there's no seating inside, is there a bathroom requirement? I don't know that.
No seating and no bathroom. But you can set a precedent and set it yourself, just like Paris did, Murfreesboro.
Say it again now.
You can set it just like Murfreesboro, Paris, and Nashville, with grease traps, cross connections, and the seatings and the bathrooms. Because the state does not check the bathrooms. I've got it right here if you want to see it. But it falls upon the city on that because they don't have a law in state. So they can't supersede you as they normally try to.
Okay. Those are all valid points. Again, this ordinance before us is what was originally talked about 2.5 years ago. It was tabled in March of 2017. It's up to this board on what they want to do to pass it, not pass it, table it, whatever they want to do. It's up to
And,
this
you know,
board.
if you pass it, it's great, but you need some operations in here too. If you add on to it, that's fine. But if you're not gonna add on to it, that's what I'm saying now.
Yeah, I'm not aware of backflow preventers for mobile food units.
What's the difference?
I don't know, does a mobile food unit need a backflow preventer?
You're saying you're required,
Right, and if they're connected to the city maintenance, the city water, they have to have.
Is there an instance where one is connected to city water?
Yes.
Okay,
Go out there, and I'm not gonna say, but I'll tell you later, or you want me to tell you now, I don't care.
doesn't matter.
Because if they connect to the city water, they have to have backflow, just like I do.
You mean a spigot or a faucet?
Yes, faucet,
Okay.
they have to have a backflow.
So does every house in the city of Dyersburg have a backflow preventer on the
That's
faucets?
not commercial.
I understand.
Business does.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, Dave, do you have one? Yes. Everything commercial
Commercial business, that one.
Commercial,
Commercial business.
if I'm not mistaken, Mr. McCullough, does all commercial buildings have to have it when they're built and coming in? Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know the difference with, obviously I know the difference in commercial and this, but I don't know the
That's,
regulations.
you know, when we redid the cafe in '99, had to have one. Now, the state does not require it now, but the city does.
Okay. Any other questions?
Do you know, Mayor, do you know, is this the reason this was tabled 2 years ago?
No, it was tabled a couple of years ago because it had something to do with the business tax licenses, and a analogy was made that those weren't correct, and this would be incorrect as well, I think. So nothing ever came of that in March 2017.
They're all valid points.
Sure.
And this is, hey, this is good, but you just need to put something in there for operations and to cover yourself.
Okay.
All right, thank you, John.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you.
Thomas, is there anything, any questions that he had that you can elaborate on? As far as codes or anything?
I don't know if I can elaborate. Currently, we have no ordinances on mobile vendors. So we don't have anything in place that says you have to have a grease trap or a backflow preventer or a vacuum breaker, or, you know, it doesn't address restrooms, it doesn't address seating. So there's not anything in the code right now that will reference that we have adopted. I know that's not answering a question, but that's what we have. We don't have anything on it right now.
Have we researched other cities that do have these seating and restrooms and stuff?
In the past, we have. We've researched several cities, and some of them are extraordinarily stringent. Some of them are similar to us. It just varies on where you're located.
Are we talking about towns' size, you know, population-wise? I know big cities are gonna be different. As far as, you know, our population, towns, same size, have you looked at that?
I guess the closest thing would be Paris to us that we've looked at, and Paris has their set of rules and regulations. I can't quote them. I don't know exactly what they are. It's been a couple of years since I've looked at them.
Is this something we need to have our attorney look at, say maybe look at Paris and maybe add some things? I mean, I think this is good, but I kinda like they're talking about, I think we may need to add some things to it to get people on, you know, everybody on the same field, you might say.
Yeah, we can. I mean, we've got all those ordinances. We've got Union City, we have Paris. We have several already that we've looked at. I can't remember grease traps in any of those ordinances though, but I may be wrong.
Has the attorney looked at that since 2 years, since this was prepared?
The attorney originally drafted this 2 years ago.
This
Over,
wasn't 2 years ago.
this is 2 years ago. Yeah, 2+ years.
Have they looked at it
No.
since?
No, there hasn't been any changes other than some definition updates. Yes, sir.
I have a question for Thomas.
Okay.
Thomas, if
Yes, ma'am.
we implement this, do you anticipate that as you begin to enforce it, that you would see additional needs? And if so, would you come back to the board with those?
The way the ordinance is written today, it's a registration type ordinance. So if everyone would comply, come in, get registered, providing they deal with the stuff that the state requires, I mean, that's pretty much what it would be. It'd be a registration. I don't know what'll happen in the future.
Okay.
Some do a great job and some don't do such a great job.
I wasn't asking you to get your crystal ball out, I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah. I mean, with everyone, with every situation, there's always one bad apple that causes problems for a lot of folks. We did a lot of research on this, and almost all cities now allow this, and we need to allow it. But as I said earlier, the rules and regulations vary greatly among different jurisdictions.
Ms. Baltimore?
So, this ordinance, do you recommend this ordinance that we have before us today?
It's a great ordinance. It's a registration. It's designed to protect our citizens. We need to know who is coming into our community, so we can keep track of them. You never know what situation's gonna happen. Currently, today, they come in, they leave. We have absolutely nothing. This would be a registration. There is a fee associated with it. There's always processing fees, et cetera. This is a way we can keep track of who is here and who is not here.
I can't remember how much is the fee?
I believe it's
Remember it?
$50 for, am I right on that, Mayor?
15.
Annual fee.
Annual fee.
The food vendors are here now. If we were to pass this tonight, it wouldn't really change anything. Is this something we could amend, to add some more regulations on
Absolutely.
food vendors at
Absolutely.
a later date? I mean, if we pass it tonight, we're not allowing anything that's not happening now. We're just gonna require them to be registered with the city.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, if I can add that this is not just addressing food, mobile food vendors, it's also any type of mobile vendor that could be selling clothing products or other types of products.
I think we're on the right track. At least we're registering these people. But I think what we need to do is, in addition, we need to start looking at their utility connections. What are they doing with their grease and gray water, you know? And I think we need to look at this, bathroom seating, but I think first of all, we'll get the registration going, and then I think we need to immediately start addressing these others to amend this in the near future.
Man, I think it would be nice to put this in place and then add to it as time goes on.
Sure, certainly, yeah, we can amend an ordinance.
So if it's okay, I'd like to make a motion that we put this in place and look back at it, you know, and amend to it in the future.
Okay, have a motion from Mr. Baltimore to accept ordinance BB 672. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from Ms. Vanetta. Any more discussion?
Mayor, so if we pass this tonight, will you or someone ask the attorney to look into some of these other things, what Paris has and some of the other things?
Well, like I said, we've got those ordinances from Paris and Union City, and we have heard Mr. Todd's concerns about the items he discussed, and I would think that's where we would start to look at that, sure. Be more than happy to. Any other discussion? Anybody else in the audience wish to speak?
One more time, so you will, I'm sorry, Steve. Look at that loud enough, you want to hear me. So any time of date or any known time you'll come back to try to amend some of this, any idea?
Just whatever the will of this board, whatever they'd like to do.
But there will be amendments to it.
Can't say there will be amendments to it, okay?
I got faith in y'all.
We'll certainly look at it.
You'll be fair.
We'll look at the items that you discussed, sure.
This is a start. I
Oh,
think
yeah, that's
we're
what-
getting them registered.
that's what I'm
but
saying.
I agree with
It's
you.
great, but it needs to be
With it-
amended.
Amend within the next 6 months, maybe. Could I add that to my motion?
Next month or two, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so again, your motion, hang on just a minute, Dave. So your motion is to accept this ordinance and look at it within a month, is that
6
correct?
months.
6 months? Okay. All right, so let's back up. So you want to withdraw your original motion? Okay, would you withdraw your original second? All right, would you like to make a new motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we accept this ordinance and look back at it in the next 6 months.
Okay. Is-
Second.
A second from Ricky Hammond. Any more discussion, Dave?
Dave Dahl from Daysville on the Square. My concern, like Sean's, is fire suppression for deep fat fryers. We have to have a hood and halon systems in case something happens that we have a flash fire. If you've got a trailer or food truck and it's not equipped that way, you could potentially have that fire. And of course, if they're using a gas, system to take care of that, I mean, you got a rolling truck on wheels, it'll be a ball of fire and nothing to protect citizens from that hazard. My other concern is continuous operation in the same location. In a sense, I mean, they're meeting the spirit of the regulation being a mobile vendor, but in essence, they're actually establishing their place of business in one location for the whole year and from however long they wish to operate at that location. It would be nice if they couldn't operate 365 days a year in the same location if there was some downtime. I mean, I too welcome the idea of having different types of food come to our city, but other places I've been that they've done this, it's been more itinerant. You know, they've in and out, you know, in for a week or two, and then they're gone somewhere else, and then they come back later on because their food was so popular. You know, doing what we're doing now maybe allows them to just establish a business at a lower level. And of course, I'd like to see everybody in a brick and mortar situation so we can get every building that we've got rented and get a going concern and more sales tax collected. I don't think with this regulation, you're gonna have any ability to actually collect sales tax from these mobile vendors, because it's not up to you to enforce that. You have no way of tracking their sales. And they can just say, well, I didn't do very well today.
That's correct. That's something else we can look at as
All right,
well.
thank you.
Mayor, in this ordinance, because we're trying to, have control over who comes in and out of the city, to make sure we have some type of control.
Yeah, we require registration for them to come to City Hall to fill that out. Yes. I know who you are, but state your name for everybody.
Sir, I'm McKinney from Neil's Barbecue and Grill. And I'm like the gentleman back here, I'm all for growth for the city. But personally, professionally, business-wise, I feel your registration fee is just borderline ridiculous, too low. Understand, when we putting pennies and pennies and dollars on it, guys, 50, it's not gonna work. When we're brick and mortar and we're running these numbers throughout the week, it's great. But the mobile business that we got coming into this town right now, these are mobile businesses that are outside of Dyersburg, coming into Dyersburg to make their money. So are they actually bringing money into Dyersburg or taking money out of Dyersburg? What are we actually doing here? If we want to make it better, then let's make sure we're bringing in productive professionals that want to do this thing the right way. $50 is not enough. If they're gonna do it right, give them a good limit. Give them a $500 bounty. Because if you put $500 on the line, they're gonna make sure that that product that they're putting out on this line is gonna be good. They're gonna want to come back because they've put that invested money in there. If you're telling them $50, they're not invested in that. That's chump change. I'm passionate about it because I'm in this food service just like they are. And we especially work hard, 60, 70 hours a week.
Thank you.
We're gonna do it.
Are you recommending that we raise it to another higher?
Yes, sir. If they wanna come in this town and make money and they're serious about this food service business, put their money where their mouth is. Because these guys that are here in Dyersburg, these local business owners, we've done the same thing consistently. Not only have we done that, we've dedicated and donated to this town.
I think we can definitely look at all these suggestions without any hesitation, other than what the mayor's already alluded to about having permission to be on somebody's property. I mean, I don't think we can touch that, can we, Mayor? I mean, even if it's year-round. I mean, I understand what y'all are talking about, and we'll look at all this. I mean, we'll do that as a board, but there's some things that'll be out of our hands.
This is one thing we can actually control, because we've been talking about it for a while. The guys setting up on personal properties, hey, that's between them and that landowner. But this is the city. This is y'all. Y'all got the right to take that power away from them and get it back.
Take power away from property owners?
Yes, sir.
I don't know that we have that power, Sean Trail.
Yeah, that's true. I got you. Understood.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, man. Thank you. Thanks, Sean Trail. Anybody else? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, public hearing, ordinance BB 690, an ordinance to amend the text of the Dyersburg Municipal Zoning Ordinance to adopt regulations for planned commercial development districts. That also is in your packet went for the planning commission, passed the planning commission, recommended to this board. We called for a public hearing to be held this night. It was properly advertised in the State Gazette. And that was in here as well on April 21st, 2019. This is a public hearing. Anybody wish to speak to this? Any questions from the board? I'd entertain a motion to approve it.
Motion.
Have a motion from Ricky Hammond. Is there a second? Second from James Baltimore. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, Finance Committee meeting, April 25th, 2019. Chairman Edward Burks.
The Finance Committee met on April the 25th. All committee members were present. We opened two sealed requests for proposals for financial and compliance auditing services, one from Alexander Thompson Arnold and one from Cowart Reese Sargent. We then agreed to study the two proposals and reconvene on May the 6th to officially score these. Then we met again this morning, which is May the 6th. I just got these minutes before the meeting tonight. All committee members were present. Prior to discussing the request for proposals, Mr. Neil Durbin was there and briefly provided information regarding the city schools audit timeframes. He noted he would discuss the various audits with the school system auditors for any improvement to complete the audits in a timely manner. The committee then, Finance Committee then we'd already looked at the two proposals. We individually scored and collectively rated the request for proposals on a prepared scoring matrix. The committee determined that the three-year average difference was $9,125, indicating Cowart Reese Sargent submitted the lower bid cost for the 1 year with two one-year options for a total of 3 years. Let's see, Alderman Webb motioned to approve the selection, seconded by Alderman Moody. The committee voted to approve the motion and will make a formal recommendation for approval to the board of Cowart Reese Sargent. So I guess consider that a motion. You want to vote on it?
We can, sure. Sure. So we have a motion from Edward Burks to approve Cowart Reese Sargent as the auditor. Is there a second?
Second.
A second from Dennis Moody. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
Further discussion, Scott Ball provided an update on the progress of the NDR grant, Forkadee River project. That was our meeting this morning.
I think also in these minutes, we talked about applying for a tourism grant.
Yeah, I hadn't gotten that far.
Okay.
I remember that we talked about it. The application, tourism and enhancement grant application. Application will request $75,000 for construction and purchase of restrooms and shade structure at the park. The grant is a 70-30 state-city match, costing the city $22,500. Alderman Webb motioned to approve the city's application for the grant. I seconded the motion. The motion was approved and will be presented to the full board for approval. So, make that motion.
Okay, have a motion from Edward Burks to allow the city of Dyersburg to apply for the tourism enhancement grant, which is due the middle of this month. Is there a second? Second from Coach Cole. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
And the final business of the Finance Committee meeting this morning, we agreed to set dates to begin on the budget process for 2019-20.
Okay, thank you. Any questions about those meetings? Next item on the agenda, bids. Greg Williams. Greg?
have tonight is another phase of the development of the Forked River River Park. This includes sidewalks, some streetscaping, signage, a parking lot, a retaining wall, a drive to the back of the farmer's market, and also infrastructure for the playground and spray park. There was $650,000 budgeted, and this is 100% funded by the NDR grant. Notification was given through the State Gazette and the 2 plan rooms. We had 2 bids come in. $690,081.13, and a low bid from Steele Evans Contractors for $631,988.80. So that would be my recommendation, to award it to Steele Evans Contractors of Dyersburg.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation from Greg. I'd entertain a motion to approve this.
So moved.
Motion from Mr. Baltimore, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from Ms. Vanetta Webb. Any discussion?
Question. This playground and spray park, what are we talking about for a playground?
I don't have a drawing of it. Scott Ball had one at the meeting this morning.
I wasn't privileged to it.
Some of the others can expound on it, but it is
Are we putting in swings, slides,
a playground equipment structure.
playground equipment?
Much like we have at Okina Park, something of that.
Well, my biggest concern right now is this. Is it handicap, will it be handicap accessible? Will it be playground equipment for handicapped children?
I can't answer that. I don't know exactly what is there. But
Does anybody know?
I don't know.
this is not the equipment itself. This is the infrastructure for the equipment.
Okay, then who's gonna make the determination of what the playground equipment is?
That would be our city engineer.
I see, and who is he gonna talk to?
Got an idea, a strong point, then I would advise you to be in touch with the
City engineer. Thank you.
I would assume it has to be handicapped accessible. I would
Well,
assume.
Grant, it would just about have to be.
Right.
Very
Thomas is
stringent, but I can't answer that.
There's a difference.
Okay.
There's a difference. I can make it accessible by lowering stuff, opening walkways, but my biggest concern is there are many children out here that are handicapped that cannot get on a slide, cannot get in a swing. But there is equipment that makes it available for them, and that's my concern. So I
I'll
need,
pass that along, but I would encourage you to speak with the city attorney as well.
please, thank you.
City engineer.
City engineer, attorney?
City engineer.
Attorney.
Okay. Any other questions? Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Thanks, Craig. Next item, agenda report from Alderman. Mr. Baltimore?
Don't have anything.
Edward? Coach Cole?
Where did Thomas go? And Mike, thank y'all for getting some problems worked out for me and our community. Appreciate it.
Megan?
No report.
Ricky?
Nothing.
Dennis? Vanetta?
No report.
I do have something Mary Claire wanted me to read tonight. She couldn't be here tonight. So her report, she'd like for me to read. I have been in close contact with the Street Sanitation Department over the last few weeks. Mike McCullough has been keeping us all aware of what streets are being paved, along with before and after pictures. Thank you to him and his crew for their continued hard work. Greg Wilson has some very good ideas that he is working on to present to the committee at our next meeting. I am grateful for his knowledge and commitment. So I want to read that for her. Also, I'll pass out the April code enforcement report. You have that in front of you. And also want to mention that this week is Public Service Recognition Week. This is celebrated the first week of May to honor the men and women who serve our nation as federal, state, county, and local government employees. We would like to express our gratitude to each of our city employees for their service, dedication, and willingness to serve our citizens. Thanks to all for what you do in serving our community and the services you provide to our citizens. We appreciate all that you do. So thank you on behalf of this board for what you do. With that, we're adjourned.